The food's playground.
The digestive system is the series of tube-like organs that convert our meals into body fuel. In all, there's about 30 feet of these convoluted pipeworks, starting with the mouth and ending with the anus. Along the way, food is broken down, sorted, and reprocessed before being circulated around the body to nourish and replace cells and supply energy to our muscles. Food on the plate needs to become a mashed-up, gooey liquid for the digestive system to be able to split up into its constituent parts: proteins, carbohydrates, fats, vitamins, and minerals. Our teeth start the process by chewing and grinding up each mouthful while the tongue works it into a ball-shaped bolus for swallowing. Moistening saliva fed into the mouth from nearby glands start the process of chemical digestion using specialized proteins called enzymes. Secreted at various points along the digestive tract, enzymes break down large molecules of food into smaller molecules that the body is able to absorb. Once we swallow, digestion becomes involuntary. Food passes down the throat to the esophagus, the first of a succession of hollow organs that transport their contents through muscular contractions known as peristalsis.
This is if you're eating a large steak.
The esophagus empties into the stomach, a large muscular chamber that mixes food up with digestive juices, including enzymes and pepsin. These target proteins and lipase, which work on fats. Hydrochloric acid likewise helps to dissolve the stomach contents while killing potential harmful bacteria. The resulting semi-fluid paste, chyme, is sealed into the stomach by two ring-like sphincter muscles for several hours and then released in short bursts into the duodenum.
Hydrochloric acid has a pH level that is so low that it could dissolve through metal. But it doesn't eat away at the stomach lining because of the mucus that is on the sides of the stomach. Acid kills so much of the microorganisms that piggyback the food because of the pH that is so low, and frequently prevents us from getting sick. The first of three sections of the small intestine, the duodenum, produces large quantities of mucus to protect the intestinal lining from acid in the chyme. Measuring about 20 feet in length, the small intestine is where the major digestion and absorption of nutrients take place. Those nutrients are taken into the bloodstream via millions of tiny finger-like projections called villi and transported to the liver.
What's left in the digestive tract passes into the large intestine, where it's eaten by billions of harmless bacteria and mixed with dead cells to form solid feces. Water is reabsorbed into the body, while the feces are moved into the rectum to await expulsion.
The liver itself is the body's main chemical factory, performing hundreds of different functions. It processes nutrients absorbed into the blood by the small intestine, creating energy-giving glycogen from sugar carbohydrates and converting dietary proteins into new proteins needed for our blood. These are then stored or released as needed. As our essential vitamins and minerals, the liver also breaks down unwanted chemicals such as alcohol that is consumed, which is later detoxified and passed through the body from the body as waste.
Weighing in at 3 pounds, this wedge-shaped organ is the body's third largest gland. The liver has two sections, the right lobe and the left lobe. It is an accessory organ to the digestive system, among its many roles in the detoxification of the blood. It also creates bile, which is used to break down fats.
The pancreas is a gland located behind the stomach that manufactures a cocktail of enzymes that are pumped into the duodenum.
Organ positioned behind the stomach produces insulin and enzymes that aid digestion. Pancreatic enzymes help digest food in the small intestine, while insulin helps regulate the amount of sugar in the blood.
The duct also connects the duodenum to the gallbladder. This pear-shaped sac squeezes out the green-brown bile, a waste product collected from the liver that contains acids for dissolving fatty matter.
Mechanical digestion versus chemical digestion. There are two kinds of digestion, mechanical and chemical. Mechanical digestion involves physically breaking the food into smaller pieces. Mechanical digestion begins in the mouth as the food is chewed. Chemical digestion involves breaking down the food into simpler nutrients that can be used by the cells. Chemical digestion begins in the mouth when food mixes with saliva. Saliva continues an enzyme, amylase, that begins the breakdown of carbohydrates. An enzyme is a protein that can
An example of chemical digestion of carbohydrates is bread. As bread is chewed and mixed with saliva, the enzyme called amylase begins to break down carbohydrates into simpler molecules so the body can process it. In the second step, in the stomach, the bread is mixed with stomach acids and churned for 2 to 3 hours. In the third step, the small intestine uses more enzymes to work the mixture, ultimately turning the carbohydrates into glucose. Glucose is absorbed through the walls of the small intestines and passed into the bloodstream. Any materials that are not needed will be passed to the large intestine and later treated as waste through the rectum and the anus. Finally, in the last step, glucose is picked up by the bloodstream and carried to the liver for storage. It can later be tapped into to provide energy for the body.
Next is the chemical digestion of proteins. An example of this is steak. First, the steak is chewed and mixed with saliva so that it can be easily swallowed. Second, in the stomach, the chewed steak is mixed with the stomach's acidic juices. Powerful enzymes in these juices begin to break apart the protein molecules. Third, in the small intestine, several other enzymes go to work on the mixture. The enzymes help break down into smaller molecules called amino acids, which are absorbed through the walls of the small intestine. Any materials that are not needed will be passed to the large intestine and later excreted as waste. In the bloodstream, the amino acids are picked up by the bloodstream and carried throughout the body. They will be used to build the walls and other parts of the cells.
Also occurring in the alimentary canal is the chemical digestion of fats, for example, ice cream. First, we'll start in the mouth where the ice cream will mix with the saliva. Then we'll go down to the stomach and the ice cream mixes with the stomach's acidic juices. Then go into the small intestine where the enzymes in the lining break down the sugar into glucose and fructose. Also along the lining of the small intestine is villi, which helps increase surface area to make digestion more efficient. Bile breaks down fat molecules into fatty acids and cholesterol, and the broken down fat molecules are absorbed by the bloodstream and stored in different parts of the body until they are needed for energy.
Come take a ride with me. We enter through the mouth. We enter through the mouth. The digestive process begins in the mouth. With salivary enzymes in the process of chewing. We are probably broken down. We are probably broken down. Then we're swallowed. Now in the esophagus. Then we're swallowed. Now in the esophagus. Wave-like movements called paracelsus forces us from the throat into the stomach, where we take baths in gastric acids mixed with shine. Those are stomach acids. Then we head through the small intestines, entering the first part, the duodenum. Then we enter the jejunum and the ileum. Those are the final parts of the small intestines in the take a ride with me through the digestive system. Take a ride with me, 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 take a ride with me through the digestive system.